Hey guys, apologies for my absence after the Korean Grand Prix, but I was busy, and obviously the Japanese Grand Prix was only a week after. So today's going to be a kind of double whammy bumper edition, and I should talk about both. I will try not to make it as long, well, double as long, because that would just be absurd. They are rambly enough as it is. But yes, I'm going to try not to mix the races up and get confused. But yeah. Quite good Grand Prix, both of them. And I'm going to also try not to make this just a I Heart Roman little rant, but he will feature prominently, so, if you don't like him, you should probably just go watch something else, go watch a cat video or something. I am wearing my Lotus shirt, especially for Roman, so yes, there's going to be a lot of fangirling, but I will try my best to cover all bases. So yeah, some of you might know that for my job, part of it involves a lovely bit of F1 tweeting. So I was actually working from home from 5 AM the past 2 Sundays in a row, which most people think I'm mad, but actually it was quite nice because it's the F1. I would have been up watching it anyway, and it saves me going into work afterwards. So that was entertaining, so a bit of multitasking going on, but still lots of action to enjoy to actually keep me awake. So Korea, I guess, to begin with. I've got a little important notepad because I'm, organised and taken this very seriously, and because I have no memory and would just go Roman if I had no notes. So okay, my first one is just laughing at Paul di Resta. It's my first one because Mr. Paul, I deserve a top team di Resta. I think Korea was his 4th or 5th race in a row not scoring points or driver error crashing. I don't understand the deal with di Resta. People love him, and I don't know whether it's just the British thing where that's just automatic. You have to love him because he's British, which is absurd. But he's just awful. He really is. I mean, I kind of used to lump him together with Nico Rosberg in terms of just epic mediocrity and overratedness. But yeah, Rosberg's done a little something to actually prove his worth of late, and I lay off a little bit because he took on Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton as teammates, so he's a bit more than mediocre, just a bit. I still find him desperately boring, and I don't support him. But Paul di Resta, just no, so. I just think everyone around me will have woken up at 5 or 6 AM, whenever it was, of me just laughing my head off at Paul di Resta crashing again. So, I mean, you all know this about me if you've heard me ramble before or seen my Twitter, but yeah, still don't like him, still think he's useless, and I don't get this whole sort of, yeah, he's just up his own arse. I don't get it, and loads of people are, but it's crowded in there. That was a horrible image. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's useless. So it's my I don't know whether he's my douchebag of the day. I don't know whether douchebag of the day is a regular feature or not, but he kind of always is. So yeah, Rosberg's front wing failing and all the sparks and fireworks, that was quite entertaining. I don't know whether I thought it was maybe just rigged, if you try to overtake Lewis Hamilton, we will break your car. Don't take me seriously on this, please. You'll freak out. But yeah, that was a little bit of entertaining. And Perez and the puncture, and everyone gets all very over worried and goes shouts at Paul Hembry, who just sighs and deletes his Twitter. I don't think it was necessarily a Perez thing. I mean, they showed he had a huge lockup and really flat spotted the thing just before it happened. So I'm not going to overreact about this. It was one puncture, and they happen all the time, so whatever. And then yeah, so all safety cars to clear debris and so on. Yeah, safety cars are very unhelpful for Roman's race at this point. So at the start of the race, I had this ridiculous optimism, thinking he could win this. He could actually win this, and then that gradually descended into kind of realism of thinking, yeah, probably not. We do have Sebastian Vettel on the grid, so. But yeah, Weber catching fire. That was entertaining. A little bit of fire to wake you up at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. yes, so Till obviously stabbed his car. Old joke, terrible. I just liked Webber's nonchalant attitude to the whole thing. You know, his radio going, "There's a fire, get out quickly." Webber's just like radio's back going, "Car's on fire," and just casually steps aside, loiters about near it for a bit, kind of just staring at it in a sort of Neanderthal sort of way, and just couldn't give a fuck. So that was classic Mark Webber, really. He does seem to have the bad luck with the car, but I'm not jumping on this bandwagon to say, "Oh, it's always Webber's car, isn't it? Vettel never has any bad luck." Well, Vettel does too. Everybody has bad luck at some point, so I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, shame for Mark Webber, obviously. I know he wants to have his final F1 season and go out with a bang, but hopefully not an inferno of any kind. So we'll see how his last few races go. But yeah, bit of entertainment, bit of fire, and then random Jeep, like track invasion sort of Korean style, which was interesting. I liked just the sort of Martin Brundle's overreaction to it, just like, what's that doing there? Amused me quite a lot. I mean, yeah, it was just a bit of fun, really. It just all turned into a bit of a circus, but no harm done in the end, I guess. At least they eventually put the fire out. But yes, that was quite entertaining. Nico Hulkenberg, he's one of those drivers that before kind of the last few races, he's just kind of been a bit of a nothing for me. Like, still not in the Resta Rosberg category of mediocrity. Like, I think he was good and a bit more justified in the whole he deserves a good race seat sort of thing. And he seemed like a funny guy and nice, like, down-to-earth guy. So, you know, but I just kind of nothinged him. Don't hate him, didn't love him, whatever. But he's really, you know, showing what he can do lately. And yeah, coming home in fourth in a Sauber, which for most of the season has been abysmal, was very impressive. So yeah, that was good for him, I guess. I don't really know what he's gonna appreciate me just going good for you. But yeah, it was quite impressive, and him overtaking Lewis Hamilton was a beautiful thing, and that was when I suddenly thought, do you know what, I quite like this guy. So yeah, that was very good. But best overtake of Lewis Hamilton of the day, even though there were many, has to be Romain Grosjean at the start. Beautiful. I mean, you know there's going to be overtakes going into turn 3, but you know, since last year's sort of berating of Grosjean about everything, and he really laid off any kind of lunges on track because he just thought, you know, oh, even if I make a mistake, I'm buggered. So he just calmed down too much and just was too cautious all the time, and it was a shame. It really was, because he's a fast driver. He really has potential, and he's going to win a race soon. And I'll be continuing this talk about the Japanese Grand Prix. But yeah, his overtake on Hamilton was a beautiful thing, absolutely exquisite. It just, I don't know, it was perfection. And I was very pleased with him, and it did seem, and like he said in an interview after the race, it did seem like he was kind of the only challenger for Vettel. So if that isn't astounding, I don't know what is. I mean, if you can even get close to Vettel, bravo. It's like, you know, 2011, you know, there were 5 people in contention for the championship, but by the end of it, it was only Jensen that could actually keep pace with Vettel properly. And that's kind of what's happening in these couple of races. And I know it doesn't mean anything for the championship because Grosjean's like 8th or something. But it's nice to see, and it's good for his confidence, especially after all last year's sort of carnage. So I'm absolutely delighted for him. There you go. I'm going to shut up about Korea because that was like a week ago. And we on to Japan, which will be still a similar discussion, let's be honest. So Romain Grosjean, kills Prix. That starts. I have no words. It was amazing. I can't even think of a proper word to describe that start. It was Alonso-esque. It was the kind of thing you'd expect from Fernando Alonso, just, you know, back in the midfield of the top 10 sort of area, and then just powering forward, not a blink of an eye, barely a twitch of the steering wheel, and he's suddenly further up the grid. And, you know, we've got to expect that, and he's very good at the starts because he qualifies badly. But Romain Grosjean, you'd almost say it starts in not his strong point because of everything I've been talking about, all the kind of lack of confidence and the shit he got last year. And it was exquisite. It was so beautiful. Like, I know the Red Bulls were not like on top of their game as much as they have been in previous races, because I mean, you saw on the career start, Vettel literally just rocketed off. He's gone straight from the start. It was like 2 seconds within like the first lap. It was ridiculous, and that's what we've grown to expect. I know we had Webber up there as well, which was a pleasant surprise, a bit of a underdog sort of moment in qualifying, and I really thought that Webber was going to be the underdog to support for the Japanese Grand Prix, because he was the one up there ahead of Vettel, so I didn't really think of anyone else. And then, what's this? Grosjean just sweeps past beautifully. So there's Hamilton and Vettel being a bit daft and tagging each other. Webber just kind of having a bit of a wobble on the other side of the track, but at least not reversing off the start line as usual. But yeah, Grosjean, exquisite. Like, it was one of the wide shots when they were showing it, and I could see it was like a dark coloured car. And I just kind of assumed it would be a Red Bull, and then I'm sure if any of you are watching it on Sky, David Croft's shrill little excited thing was going, Romain Grosjean! And apparently, I don't necessarily recall this, but apparently I made an interesting and excited noise when I realised it was Romain first into the first corner. I can't begin to describe how pleased that made me. It was wonderful. And although I am slightly devastated that it didn't end up being a win, because I think he deserves it, and again, I think he's the closest challenger to Vettel at this stage, however meaningless it is for the championship, it was beautiful, and it was wonderful to see his gleeful little face on the podium, and in post-race interviews again, just looking so happy, and he deserves all this. So it's only a matter of time until he wins. It's going to happen. So I'm excited for this day. So yeah, in relation to that Lotus strategy, I'm just not sold, because it always seems to be, whether it's Kimi or Roman, they seem to kind of go for the kind of less stops strategy, which, you know, on paper might be the quickest and whatever, but it never works out. It always ends up that they're up front because of saving on a pit stop or whatever, but it never actually works out at the end. You know, at the end they just fall back and their tyres have gone off and they weren't going to last, even though they thought they would, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, shall we try the extra pit stop next time? Because you never know. You know, if you've got that fresh rubber on your tyres, you know, you could just go blitzing through the field, as we've seen from plenty of other teams' strategies. So yeah, I'm a bit sceptical of Lotus and their strategies at the moment. They just don't seem to work out in the end. But we'll see. I'm sure it'll be. Hopefully they're considering it as well, and it's not just me on the planet thinking this. But yes, it will happen soon. Grosjean will win a race, and he will be the happiest human being on the planet, and his happiness will be contagious, and everyone will be happy. We'll make a cake, make it out of rainbows and smiles. Anyway. And just to use the classic quote, I mean, what a difference a year makes, with the whole Mark Webber calling him a first lap nutcase in the last Japanese Grand Prix. So it was beautiful to see first lap supremacy. It was brilliant. So I should really shut up. I'm talking about Romain Grosjean now. Quick rattle through a few other things. Hamilton getting a puncture. Yes, I laughed. I'm mean. Still don't really know the reason for the retirement. I think I heard something about damaged floor when he was going back, but no loss really. I'm fed up of his moaning and his swearing over the radio about if Nico gets priority over him. Boo hoo. So yeah, no loss for me at all. And that leaves just Alonso left as a challenger for Vettel, which is obviously not going to happen. It's a shame we don't have an epic season finale ahead of us. I mean, it'll probably be wrapped up in India in a couple of weeks, which will be a new venue for championship decider. But I'm sure Brazil will still be fun as a season finale. And as some of you may know, some of you will be joining me for the F1 in Pubs little shindig in Birmingham. to watch the Brazilian Grand Prix, and it will be, you know, the John Button Appreciation Society meetup and the second annual J Bass meetup. So super excited for that. What else? Only a couple of other things really. McLaren failing at pit stops again. Have they rehired the wheel nut guy again, who was useless, because obviously Jensen and Checo had the right rear tyre going on slow and blah blah blah. So that was annoying, but it's been a long time since I've had any faith in McLaren, since I've believed in McLaren. I've never believed in McLaren. So I just really hope for Jensen's sake that 2014, the rule changes, will bring about some kind of positivity for them, because it's tiring. You know, I put up with 2007, 2008 with Jensen in the terrible Honda and Earth Dreams car, you know, always at the back and always retired. You know, I made it through that, but I was hoping for better times. So we'll see how that goes. And it was interesting just to see Vettel a bit ragged, you know? I mean, I know he won everything and he's going to win the championship and all this, but it was kind of nice in a way to see him make mistakes. It's like Canada 2011 proves he is not completely perfect. He is not unstoppable necessarily. The man does make mistakes. He is human, not some kind of Adrian Newey designed robot. So it was nice to see him kind of, you know, locking his wheels occasionally, going a bit wide, you know, losing some time, just for all of our sakes, really, for the future, because if he is perfect, we're doomed for many years to come, I think. Yes, I should probably shut up now because it's been going like, oh, okay, 16 minutes. So I'll be quiet, but this was a double edition, so it's actually not too bad. Yes, so I'll go back to talking rubbish on Twitter. Well done if you've watched this whole thing, as basically a 17-minute fangirling about Romain Grosjean. But yes, I'm sure I will be joining you again for a ramble about the Indian Grand Prix / Championship decider, probably. Yeah, anyway, I will talk to you all on Twitter and stuff like that, and I will be back again soon. So, see ya!